Hey you guys! Thanks for joining us on another journey. Today, we're in the oldest city in America, St. Augustine, Florida. If you're new to the channel, this is April.
Hey.
And I'm Wayne. We do a video every Thursday from somewhere in the world, so hit that subscribe button and smash that bell. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the journey. In this video, we're going to teach you the things that you can do in St. Augustine in just one day. We're playing tourist in the place that we grew up in. We're currently in the old town of St. Augustine. Those people who don't know, this is the oldest city in America. A little tip when you come to St. Augustine and you're gonna go to the old town, get here early because it gets hot and humid.
You got the sweat going on?
I got the sweat going on and it's only like 11 o'clock.
Me too, but our bodies aren't used to it anymore. Our bodies are like, what's happening?
No sweaty sweat. Yeah, the old town's kind of a touristy area, but it's still fun to walk around because it is so old and it's still alive and kicking.
This is on the National Register of Historic Places, the Rodriguez Avero Sanchez House. First Spanish colonial period, built prior to 1761.
And you can lease it. I know a lot of people think that Christopher Columbus discovered America, but it was actually Ponce de Leon. Tell us about it, April.
It's the oldest schoolhouse in America.
The school was actually built, it was a house of boards in 1740. And there was a Spanish soldier named Thomas Ramos that owned it at that time. We feel that he was probably married to a widow because Spanish soldiers generally didn't have enough money to even have a house of boards. You know, usually they were barracks. So it existed in 1740. Juan Ginopoli purchased it in 1780. Then he did like a major remodel, fireplace and what have you in the early 1800s.
When was St. Augustine actually founded?
1565.
1565. So
Pedro
it was
Menendez.
it was before Columbus.
No, it was before the Pilgrims.
Before the Pilgrims.
And he never even stepped foot in the United States.
Yeah.
He was Honduras.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I went to Virginia one time. And I love going to historic places. They had a first-person gathering with Thomas Jefferson. So, you know, he talks in first person, you know, and he looks, acts, you know.
Yeah.
Me, they're like, any questions? And I go, what do you think about St. Augustine?
Right.
That was established in 1565. That's Spanish. Because everybody leaves that out.
They do.
Leaves that out.
It's not even in the history books, really.
It's really, really hard. We've gotten some great history books that have been written. Michael Francis did a gorgeous book for the 450th anniversary of St. Augustine. 2013, we celebrated 500th anniversary of Juan Ponce de Leon landing.
Yeah.
So 2014, we had the 150th class reunion here at the schoolhouse. The last class was 1864, and many of the families are still here. It was pretty awesome to try to bring that back together, you know, and it's like, you guys are the backbone of this town. So they were all the craftsmen and the fishermen and the agriculture. They knew how to build the boats, build the forts, build the buildings.
That's awesome.
Dairy farmers, you name it, they did it all. So the man that actually bought this turned his living room into a classroom because the kids were Menorcan and they were a little bit Turkish, Greek, Italian, and they were in a British colony. So the kids needed to learn English, and so that was how the school started. And this, in and of itself, is one of a kind because this is a Menorcan homestead. It's the only Menorcan homestead left. Your living room, your sitting room, your bedroom, your kitchen, your garden, the same well.
Right.
And so we interpret it as a homestead, but also a school. So we're kind of dual.
Right.
It's been an interesting year.
Oh, I can imagine.
Sanitizing a 250-year-old museum.
Right.
You do whatever it takes to make everything safe.
Yeah. Are people starting to come back, or?
We have more people probably on the weekends because the kids did start back to school, and we didn't know how really that was going to go. We used to get a lot of school groups in the fall and the spring.
When I came.
And unfortunately, you know, the public schools aren't traveling at all.
At all, right.
You know.
Because you can't put them on a bus.
No. And we have sanitation stations here because we just want to make sure that everybody that visits here feels comfortable and safe.
Yeah. Well, that
Yes, we do have that glass bell.
Is that structure original too, then, or?
That structure, no. Actually, my father designed that. It started in 2003, I believe. But that building has actually helped protect the schoolhouse. If you think about the wind.
The hurricanes and
the same one over there. Now, there's a chain, and it goes actually through the building. Now, that was actually made in the Jacksonville shipyards by my grandfather, and he put it through the building to basically hold it down.
to anchor it.
Exactly. And so, but in order to keep it safe, we do have footers because that chimney, I call it a full court press, wrapped inside the building.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got the full fireplace upstairs and downstairs. It's a lot of weight. And so, as it was settling, it was like, you know, let's make sure it doesn't tip over.
For sure.
But we actually hung a plumb bob at the top of that peak because that way you could actually show the kids. You can always educate them.
Yeah.
Because Juan Ginopoli wasn't just a teacher; he was also a carpenter. He would have used the plumb box.
Right.
Is there a significance of this pot over here? The big.
That is the Schoolhouse, or what they used in the ballast of the boats, and they put drinking water and food and rum.
Looks similar to the pot that we saw in Bulgaria on the archaeological dig.
Yeah, actually, it kind of does.
But they're great because if you think about it, they were on ships. They really didn't know where they were going, and who knew if there was going to be fresh water. Take out an empty one, you catch rainwater in it.
So how old is that one?
That one came, I believe, from Cuba, mid-1800s.
Okay.
And this statue was just dedicated March 7th. It was given to us by the country of Greece. And it's Juan Ginopoli. It's their ideological picture of what Juan Ginopoli would have looked like. It's a heck of a gift. So Greece gave that to us. It was dedicated March 7th.
Is that a newer statue then, or?
Very new.
Yeah.
Do you know about the Menorcans?
No.
This is how the Greeks got involved. When the British took over, Dr. Andrew Turnbull, who was from Scotland, part of the British at that time, was granted huge tracts of land in New Smyrna, called New Smyrna after Turnbull's wife, who was from Smyrna, Greece. And he got the idea of getting a lot of the people from the Mediterranean over to help establish the indigo plantation.
Okay.
They had to establish an indigo plantation, and if you didn't do it, everything came back.
Right.
And indigo was so expensive. And so they thought it could be the cash crop. Then Turnbull went over there. He went to Greece, Italy, Turkey, Spain, Portugal, Isle of Minorca. But everybody gathered in the Isle of Minorca. Everybody had already started intermarrying by the time they left. And so that's why collectively they're called the Menorcans, because they all sailed from the Isle of Minorca.
So they became their own community.
But yes, you were actually in the Menorcan quarter of St. Augustine.
All the years of living here, I knew nothing about that.
Yeah.
It's a unique challenge to try to educate kids about what the Spanish, you know the Spanish, you know the British, but the British, here comes the Menorcans stayed, and the Spanish came back.
Wow. Is the chains actually holding the fireplace or the chimney?
You know what, if you looked at photos of that chimney.
It's always kind of looked like that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, of it being in the kitchen, the chimney is built outside the building because it helps pull the heat out of the kitchen.
Oh, right.
But because of that though, the way it settles in to it. So there's a board that is, you'll see leaning up, that's basically wedged up against the chimney. And I remember in 1964 watching Mr. Walter put that up.
Wow.
You know, it was like one of those memories. I loved him. I loved his old station wagon with all the wood hanging out of the back, and loved watching him what he would do, you know. Well, this is probably the least expensive attraction in St. Augustine, Florida.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure you're a nonprofit and you accept donations and stuff like that too, no? No?
This is a labor of love.
Okay.
This is, like I said, it's been in my family, so it can't be a not-for-profit.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm third generation. I'm just trying to keep it together for the fourth generation and for the rest of the United States.
Exactly.
Because we really are. We try to be good stewards of history.
Yes.
If you guys are into history, we'll put a link below to come and check this place out.
It's moving to me to sense her passion, and you know, this is so important to St. Augustine and to the country.
School's in session.
School's in session.
You see that kid at the front of the class with the dunce cap? That would be lame.
Only some days of the week.
The dunce cap was not placed on the head of a bad child, but instead on the head of a slow learner. The kitchen was not used for a cafeteria. As in our modern schools, the teachers who taught at this oldest school did their own cooking in this building. The students brought their own lunches.
We gotta do a diploma.
Yeah, you can take one, yeah.
Oh, right here.
Here we go.
Yep.
Dun, 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 dun. Here you go.
We're getting a diploma from the oldest schoolhouse.
Castillo de San Marcos Fort is open 7 days a week from 9 to 5:15. Right now, they're allowing a maximum capacity of about 100 people at any time because of COVID, and their formal programs and historic weapons are still suspended.
Bummer.
Castillo de San Marcos is the oldest masonry fort in the continental United States. It is a large Spanish stone fortress that was built to protect and defend Spain's claims in the New World. Construction began in 1672 and lasted 23 years until 1695.
And you know the crazy thing is if you go to San Juan, Puerto Rico, their fort looks exactly like this fort. I think it was because they were built by the same people.
There are brochures and maps that will guide you around the site, and you can get a self-guided tour on your device. If you have kids in tow, make sure to help them earn a badge and become a junior ranger. There are some great views of the city of St. Augustine from the gun deck, and the fort's green offers a recreation area perfect for picnic or a shady nap.
Oh yeah, many a days on that green lawn.
The fort came under fire for the first time in 1702. British forces, led by General Moore, burned the city but could not penetrate the Castillo's walls. Subsequent attacks in 1728 and 1740 yielded similar results, and the British were never able to take the city of St. Augustine by force.
Oh, look at this. Detail on it.
Bronze 15-inch mortar constructed in Barcelona, Spain, 1724. This weapon, captured by the United States during the Spanish-American War in 1898, is part of the Yale University art collection.
If you come to the old fort in St. Augustine and you have a National Parks Pass, it's free. If not, you have to pay the $15 entrance fee.
15 for adults.
But totally worth it. Tell us about a tidal toilet.
This colonial restroom had a twice daily natural flushing system. Incoming tides filled the pit with seawater, and outgoing tides flush waste out into the bay.
That's a good way to keep it clean. Well, all filled in now.
In 1763, Florida became a British colony with the signing of the Treaty of Paris, thus beginning a 20-year period of English rule. The Castillo was used as a military prison during the Revolutionary War, and at one time it held 3 signers of the Declaration of Independence within its walls. At the end of the Revolutionary War, Florida was returned to Spain in 1784 until Florida became a United States territory in 1821. I remember when I was a kid, this just seemed so huge. And now, walking around, it's like tiny. I mean, like, you know, shorter and...
Sure.
It
doesn't feel as
big.
large, right? Yeah.
It doesn't feel as big, and it doesn't feel as tall as it did when I was younger.
Right.
I'd come on field trips here.
We want to thank you guys for watching our video all the way to the end. If you would, hit that subscribe button, share it with a friend, and like always, thank you for living life.